I found myself doing music, trying that out. And then I found myself in med school. And then the two sort of merged over the years. If you really ask me how it came about, I don't know.
So today, I'm the one who's outside my comfort zone. Very intrigued with our beautiful guest today, the lovely and the multifaceted, may I call you Dr. Lioness?
Yes, you can.
Lioness, thank you so much for spending some time with us here at the conversation. We had a conversation before we started in terms of changing her appearance because she's so all these personas. But the doctor won out. Tell us about your story. I think you are well known out there in Namibia on the social platforms. But tell us the backstory. Where were you born in your life?
I was born and bred in Windhoek, Namibia. I was raised by a single mother who worked really, really hard to sort of introduce me into the academics as well as the creative arts. Okay, so she was also very, very strict. She did law. She studied as an adult, got her PhD. So there was always an influence of academic excellence in our household. And then apart from that, she was very keen for us to do extracurricular activities like ballet and music and all of that. So that, duality sort of came from a very young age. And then I found myself doing music, trying that out. And then I found myself in med school. And then the two sort of merged over the years. If you really ask me how it came about, I don't know. I just find myself here on stage and here today speaking to you about the duality of my life. But the seed was definitely planted in my childhood. So, yeah.
Why an inspirational mother?
Why an inspirational woman?
It's so beautiful. It's so inspiring. And I think sometimes we underestimate the strength of Namibian women. And so many beautiful Namibian stories are inspired by a strong woman or a strong mother.
That's true. Or a strong guardian or whoever, really. So I was very fortunate to be able to have had that inspiration, like you say. So she definitely set the foundation for my work ethic and all of my characteristics, yeah.
And why did you decide on medicine?
I was fairly smart at school. I don't want to sound vain, but I was a little bit like, one of the kids that were top 10 or whatever. I was quite good at what, maths, biology and physics. And so because those are my highest points, my mother's like, why don't you just try medicine? So I never really got to know what I wanted to do after high school, except music, of course. But, being raised in a very small country, the odds of having that professional music career that really is on an international level is very hard, difficult rather. So I knew that I wanted to do something artistic to keep myself and my brain alive. Then I said, why not give it a chance? I think the UNAM School of Medicine opened recently that time. So she said, give it a shot and see how you feel about it. And then I also knew I always wanted to help people some way, somehow. I think my first option was pharmacy. I got in Port Elizabeth there, but then I had to just double down and settle for School of Medicine, which is not really settling, right?
No.
So then, it was really a thing of chance, actually, where I just applied, I got in, and then the ball just started rolling, really. Yeah.
And now you are obviously a professional, and you've also specialized.
Yes, I have.
Tell us about that.
Not crazy. When I graduated, I did my internship, and then I settled in anaesthesiology, for which I did for a couple of years. But then I truly wanted something that I could have flexibility, because then I was a wife and then a mother, and I wanted to be able to still spend a little bit of time, more time with my daughter, or sort of tailor my schedule. Um, and anesthesiology is great, but it's very busy. I decided to tailor my life and see what changes I could make. Um, so my pediatrician actually had mentioned somebody who was doing aesthetic cosmetic medicine. So that's anti-aging medicine. And I said, why not? Because in that there is some sort of creativity and art, profile balancing, having patients look younger and youthful.
Like yourself.
That's why I won't age. I'm joking. No, we'll age gracefully, of course. But I really wanted to be able to incorporate some sort of artistic form in my day-to-day life. And cosmetic and aesthetic medicine is a fairly relatively new field of medicine, and a very new concept in Namibia as well. Um, and I really, in that regard, also improving self-image and self-perception. So that was a very big intake of, going back to helping people still in medicine. So I just transitioned. I said, I'll put this anesthesiology on hold, do all of the, courses, degrees, masters now finally. And then, yeah, went into it very blind, but very grateful.
Enjoying it.
I love it. I really do love it. I love it a lot.
And like I said, if I may, the results we see from yourself, it's clearly a success as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, where did where were Lioness born?
Lioness was born actually very early on, around 2 years old. And my family, they used to give me the name of like Little Lion because I was very feisty as a child. I'm a last born, so a lot of things had to go my way. And I always had this very big personality, very straightforward. So when I started writing music with my sister, she's a music producer, I was just really writing to get all of the emotions out. And then I finally started writing with certain themes. And the themes that are quite consistent in the music are female empowerment, self-perception, self-acceptance, love. I'm a big lover. So all of those things really fell into, the name Lioness. So the name first came, but after writing and the concepts were developed, then I sort of incorporated the actual true meaning of what I understood as an adult about what a lioness entails. And so that sort of fell in together. I tried to change my name a couple of times actually, but then the more times I came to trying to change the name, then, the success got a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. So I decided to just keep the name. It's okay. It's unique. It's African. It's female. So all the good things. Yeah.
And what has been your favorite part on the Lioness journey so far?
Just really exceeding my expectations of it. When I started, I didn't think that I was going to be on international stages, performing with amazing artists all over the world. We sort of have a dream, but you never really see the trajectory of it and really being able to navigate that with all the odds. And in terms of odds, I mean a very small population. It's like, what are the odds really? So very, very grateful to be able to have taken the chance and just really believed in myself, believe in myself, stick to the plan. I think that was very important to be able to execute, and discipline. So that's something I always advocate, the medicine also helped me to be disciplined as well. So best of both worlds, I guess, is.
Tell me, we had a conversation also a bit earlier, and we touched on the role because, like you say, we are a small market.
Yes,
especially I think especially for the artist. Yet social media platforms help. It helps to get your name out there.
Absolutely.
And what has the role been on social media, and what has been the constraints in that sense?
I think we in terms of probably recently, we sort of were able to utilize this digital world now that we live in to our advantage, because before that, maybe because I've been doing music for quite some time, I don't want to give away my age. but I've been doing it for a number of decades actually. And just seeing that progression in doing it sort of in a small community versus now, I mean, the world, it's like you can click, you know, publish with your music, and then you can find that people in Brazil are playing it, or China, or it really goes everywhere. And not to underestimate the power of social media, but it can really do a lot for the creative at this moment in time. Like everyone is looking for something new, something fresh, something good. And I really truly believe that social media right now it could be anyone's chance. It's like a lottery. Like you know, it could be your name that's pulled out at any given chance. So I really do hope that the artists realize that you know, their chances are much greater than us who started off with SoundCloud and, you know, those very little, the beginning of social media where it was not really a 2 hour advantage. And I think that the understanding over the years has really facilitated artists to, you know, just put their brand out there and really excel.
I love that. And
Yeah.
I think it's such a beautiful opportunity for our youngsters out there in Namibia. You know, again, you know, we've got a small economy, relatively speaking, but this platform gives, you know, the world at your fingertips. But there are also constraints. You mentioned in terms of the monetization of some of these platforms. Namibia is not on the list.
It isn't. It isn't. To my knowledge, I'm not really sure who actually monetizes in Namibia in terms of, and any creative, I mean, from influencer all the way down to musicians. With musicians, we sort of depend on live performances, you know, international stages, endorsements with certain brands. And I think the influencers are also sort of going in that direction because that is, you know, you give an invoice and you do receive the money. Whereas digitally, I'm not even entirely sure that anyone monetizes. I speak under correction. But there was a huge discussion as well on why we're not monetizing. How can we monetize? And I think it's just a thing of really understanding how we can get to that point. You know, reaching out to these platforms and trying to get inclusivity. Also getting the numbers because we are a really small market, like you say. So does it make business sense to them as well to be able to monetize to such a small community? And then the context of the content, you know, what really are we sharing? But as Namibians, we have beautiful stories. I mean, we are truly a gem in Africa and in the whole world. And I haven't met one person who hasn't said this has been an indescribable, you know, experience coming to Namibia. So I think once that is sorted, hopefully we can advocate for it. But once it's sorted, I think it would be smooth sailing.
And I couldn't agree with you more. You know, we have unbelievably unique, beautiful stories out there in rural Namibia, you know, where we as Gondwana also operate. And we have to provide these platforms to our people as well, you know, whether it be, you know, the people in our government who must really, you know, put pressure and, you know, whoever is out there from the Googles and the Metas of the world to YouTubes to make sure that, yes, we are a small market, maybe in terms of content,
and size.
But from a content creator point of view, you've said it. Lioness can blow up, you know, she can become, you know, huge.
Yeah,
so we you know, we shouldn't accept that. We must do everything that we can, you know, on every single platform to provide opportunities especially for our youngsters.
Absolutely, I agree. I do.
And I think you are one of the great examples in Namibia in terms of creatives, and like you said, you know, it goes all over the world. So let's make sure that whoever is watching this, that you know, we make the right calls and we get our beautiful, unique Namibian stories and Namibian personas out there.
It's a matter of time. I'll do my own research about it, and see how I can contribute. It really, I think, is just a matter of getting a couple of individuals with some good influence and you know, advocating for the rest of the youngsters. Because even thinking about it, just to add on there, A lot of youngsters are very creative. Actually, we have more creators than youngsters who want to stay in, like, very corporate or ordinary jobs, and we need to support them and their dreams, really, honestly. So yeah, I'll personally make it like a thing for me to get out there and see how I can contribute to that. Yeah.
You've mentioned your sister. Um, so it's not only you who's in the music industry.
Yes.
She's based in Switzerland, I think you said.
Yes, she's based in Switzerland. Producer, excellent producer. She just also is dabbling into some international DJs, so she's doing amazing there. Yeah.
So a real creative family.
I would say so, yes. In actual fact, my mom used to play the guitar, but that was also another story of hers in the 80s. Everyone picked up a guitar or piano or some sort of instrument. And I think that influence still from her childhood or her early adulthood really set the foundation for us, because she's like, pick up an instrument and just see what it does for your brain other than studying. So we don't make a lot of music together because we've got two different styles, but we definitely consult and experience the same sort of difficulties in the music industry. Certainly, yeah.
We talk about your duality, but I think that's underselling yourself, because there are so much more. There's also a wife and a mother.
Yes, yeah. Honestly, I don't know how I got here. Like I told you earlier, it's like I blink and I wake up and then I'm a mom and a wife and everything. But that's the beauty of life, because even with your careers, I think it's very special to be able to also experience life, right? And those are, my family, my husband and child, they really center me back. Sometimes with our careers we can tend to let our minds run and get lost in, aspirations for ourselves, and I find that very grounding for me. I come from a very small family, and at the moment my family is quite small. I hope it stays that way. But needless to say, they definitely are my sounding board. Yeah.
You are you are almost a representative of the young people in Namibia, and we won't define young.
Please don't.
And I think you engage a lot with them, in probably in all spheres of your life. What are your dreams for the youth of Namibia?
Man, I really wish that the youth will be able to just chase their dreams without constraints. I think the youth, and again, I'm not sure where the bracket falls, but they are very emotional. They're very in tune with their emotions. And they often tend to get a little bit ahead of themselves. Was from some examples that I've met, not everyone, and very mature actually. If you have a conversation with a 16-year-old, you sort of feel like, whoa, this is an older soul. And I think that just supporting them makes all the difference. Again, especially with the creatives, even with those who have the more ordinary jobs. That's why I think it's very important to voice your opinions, especially if you are in a position, like I would say, like myself, who has been young-ish and not young anymore, but still can relate to them and still support them, in whichever way. So philanthropy is also a very big thing of mine, talking to young women, talking to young children, really emphasizing and encouraging them that they do not have to choose careers. Like you can do 2 careers or 3 careers, or you can do 1 career, or you can drop 1 career and do another thing. Life is really for the living. And sometimes I think as older individuals, we tend to project our fears, like what are you going to do with your career? Why are you, all over the place? But sometimes it does take a little bit of trial and error, for them to figure out what they want to do. So I really, really want to be able to give my contribution to them and tell them it's okay. It's okay if you've done something for 6 years and you don't really like it and you want to try something new. There aren't any real rules. You can let it go for a while, try out something new. If that doesn't work, you can always fall back to what initially did start. No one is, it's life is not a test, no one marks or fail, marks a pass or marks a fail. As long as you do have a plan though, and discipline, and really try and see how far you can stick something through. I think the flip side of it is that they tend to like quit too easily. Like, sometimes you have to have a bit of grit to be successful, definitely, and really go through the waves. Sometimes it's you make no money, sometimes you make a lot of money, or sometimes you have no hype as an artist, and then other times you're very popular. But to be able to see the success and really have that timeline on your resume, you need to give it a shot, But then the main thing I would say is you can have different careers. Try out something new. You really never know, but there's no one that marks you absent or failed or passed.
I love that. I think it's a valuable lesson for myself as well. Not that I see myself old.
We're not old.
but like I said, I'm a father myself, and I think, I come from a generation where it was less so, where it was more one career. And the world has moved on. Where today's youth and, including my children will probably have multiple careers. I think it's a beautiful message that you send out, in terms of stick your neck out, but also with grit and with discipline.
Can do nothing without discipline. I've learned that the hard way, Julia.
And I think, again, you are such a beautiful representation of that. Being a medical doctor is not.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
And then specializing on top of that. Yet you still have this amazing creative outlet as well. And you've told me also earlier that actually gives you energy.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if I can send a small little message, please just try it out. You never really know. I think it's always good to do something along the lines of, creativity. Even if it's for yourself, it doesn't need to be published. You can do it for yourself. Just like you mentioned. Can I mention it?
Yeah.
The writing and the journaling and just doing something out of the ordinary can really sort of boost your morale as well, and just unlock different areas of the signaling in your brain, and give you a bit of motivation for life.
You are busy, and you will even be more busy soon.
Yeah.
with a growing family.
Yes.
But if we can sit here today and we dream a little bit, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
I had a conversation with my husband the other day. He's like, "What are our 5-year plans?" I really want to be able to see how far I can push the music. And really do it on an international stage and an international sort of level, because I have been exposed to it, and once you are exposed, you sort of then really have the urge to get to that point. Right now, of course, my priority is really just making sure my family is okay, having the babies. That's my plan, my personal plan. And then once I'm done with that, I want to see how far I can push it. So definitely trying to get somewhere with the music. I really do want to establish the aesthetic medicine, career in Namibia, because it's a niche market. I mean, it's a very, very special market, and I think it can do excellent. So I'd like to be one of the people that push it to the forefront, establish it properly with the help of my excellent peers as well, and really just reach my career goals. I have certain things I've written down, and I tend to break it up in 3 years instead of 5 years, so that's a little bit realistic for me. So definitely to push the music as far as it can go, and then at the same time also really trying to excel in my other career. Yeah.
I see the twinkle in your eye when you talk about this international exposure that you've had before.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I was chosen as the first Namibian rap artist to be at Coke Studio Africa. So that time it was very big. It was equivalent to BET, for example, but in Africa. I've also performed a couple of times in Europe, and Southern Africa, West Africa, East Africa. And of course, the population is bigger there. So they do it really at an international level. You've got everyone for everything. And then, in Namibia, it's a little bit different where, if you, for example, need a stylist, you need to ask a bit of favors, and things like that. So, and just seeing how people do it out there really, really sparked my interest to be able to say, I've done that, and I've done that for Namibia. And I always tell, my team that if there is a Hall of Fame in Namibia, I'd really like to be one of the individuals on there. I don't really care too much to be top 10, top 100 or anything, but really just being like, okay, she was one of the, artists who really gave it her all and really showed that you are able to be a Namibian artist and really, really excel. So, I think that exposure and representing Namibia in that regard already sort of puts, my name as even if it's an imaginary, Lioness was a legendary Namibian with all the help that she had with her team, her small team. So it's just a little girl in me, seeing myself on stage in front of millions or thousands rather, and performing and singing in my dialect and really representing Namibia. So yeah.
That is amazing, and I really hope that inspires, some people out there, because it's not that it can be done; it has been done, and you are a representation of that. When you talk about those big stages, so in front of how many people would you be performing?
Realistically, maybe a couple of thousands.
But those where you have been already?
I have been in front of a couple of thousands, yes, before.
And that feeling on those big platforms?
It's amazing. I think personally, it would probably be better if they actually, most of them could sing the songs back to me. People enjoyed the music, but they were also like, okay, who is she really? We're not really sure who she is, but we can sing and dance to this. But if it's at the point where they can actually sing the music back to me, I think that for me will be a career milestone. And even if I had to retire just after that, that would be enough for me, truly, honestly.
But I still think it's beautiful that you keep it authentically Namibian as well.
Absolutely.
So it comes from a place of grounding.
Yes, absolutely. I think we should all, because we have a unique story. Like we mentioned, Namibia is a gem. It is a gem. And if you can carry that message, that is the uniqueness in yourself as an artist, because we tend to want to have influence from different artists or, things like that. And sometimes just carrying that Namibian spirit is all the uniqueness you can have as an artist.
And I think that transcends not only, it transcends music, it transcends even art. That we can, yes, take the best of what the world has to offer and learn from it and be inspired from it. But be careful of copy and paste. We are unique, and we have something unique and special to offer.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
I think it's a beautiful story, and the themes in your life, the grit, the discipline. You work hard for it, and you are a beautiful representation of success in multiple fields, and hopefully, that inspires a few out there to show that it can be done. Not that your story is done. I think far from it.
Yes.
I think if anyone is at risk, it might be the medical profession who might be losing you.
No, I hope not to, but yeah, life is so unpredictable, and whichever way it falls on whichever side, I will be 100% grateful, because I really found that, tailoring your life in sort of your 30s makes a huge difference, and whichever side, like I said, that I fall onto, I'll be quite content. I am content, yeah.
But it's clear that you didn't wait for life to happen to you. Yes. You grabbed by the horns.
You have to. Unfortunately, yeah, that's the only way. Lots of risks, lots of disappointment, lots of no's, lots of, people not necessarily aligning with your vision. It happens, but that's the grit that I speak about. That regardless of that, there will be someone out there who will look at you and be like, I see what she's trying to, or she's trying to do, and maybe I can support that. And that's sometimes all you need, just a little bit of support, and then off we go.
And also in terms of the professional work that you do, you talk about self-image. There's a clear, it might look from a distance quite different,
Yeah.
your personas, but there's a clear connection
Yeah.
in terms of representing and helping those out there, in terms of your audience.
Yes, absolutely. If I can just touch on that, I always remember my mother. She was very specific on how she looked and how she presented herself. And even though I know she did that for her personal self, raising girl children, she definitely set that mustard seed, for us to be able to be like, representation does matter. And I'm not saying everyone should now be an aesthetic client, but just bringing your best self forward as often as you can. 5 out of 10 times makes a complete difference. And if we can help with physical image as well as emotional image in my career, then I think I've done my part, in understanding that you really need to try as hard as you can to bring your best self forward, as unique as you are. Not everyone, loves makeup, or not everyone likes, cosmetic interventions. But even if you don't, it's just about really just being your true authentic self and showing up as that makes a difference.
And putting in the effort, because I think first and foremost it's for yourself. Right?
Yes.
It speaks of self-respect and self-discipline.
Absolutely. Yeah, you need to do it for yourself first.
And again, the story goes full circle back to your mother, and the impact and the inspiration that she's had on at least you, probably your sister as well. Yes. So in terms of the way you represent yourself to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important. Very important.
Dr. Lioness, thank you so much for telling us your story. Thank you for the work that you do, out there in the world, in all facets of it. And thank you for representing the younger part of Namibian population, and inspiring them, and always keeping it Namibian, So just to, like we always say at Gondwana, have a story to tell, and boy, do you have a story to tell. And again, like I said, the story is still ongoing. So all the best, from Windhoek to the world, in whatever facet. Thank you for spending time with us here at the conversation.
Thank you. It was lovely. I haven't spoken about myself like this in a very long time. And sometimes these moments of reflection just actually remind you that, there's a bigger purpose to know, just being Lioness or the one on stage or the doctor. It's these little reminders that I love. And thank you so much for having me on here again. It was a very lovely chat. Yeah. Thank you.
It's our privilege.
Thank you.